Warrant released Belly to Belly, Volume 1, their last full-length album of original material with Jani Lane on October 1st of 1996. My, how times had changed since 1990. The record got zero promotion, no music videos. It's almost like the record industry was trying to bury the band that had brought us cherry pie. But what's most important is the music. Did Jani Lane and the band deliver on their last full-length record together? Patrick, Ryan, Jones, Jeremy, and I are going to answer that question right after this.
The hair metal guru from Warrant to crew. The hair metal guru. Never forget Charlie too.
Welcome to the Hair Metal Guru. My name is Anthony. They call me the Guru. And yes, there are 5 of us here to talk about possibly the most controversial album in the discography of the original Warrant lineup, Belly to Belly. The album came out on CMC Records in 1996. Times were changed so drastically. Rick Steyer was on guitar. Bobby Borg was on drums, along with the 3 original guys. So that album, I think, has torn Warrant fans apart with their opinions about it. So now we're going to find out our opinions. With that, it's time to meet our little round table. Right next to me, we got Jones from the YouTube channel Hangin' with Drummer Boy Jones. Jones, welcome back to the show.
Hey, man. Thank you for having me. I'm so glad to be back with my 4 brothers, and this is going to be fun. We've done some great episodes here lately on these records, and this one is, I'm just as passionate about this one as I am the rest of them. So it's going to be a good show.
And Jones has a Warrant Belly to Belly fucking hat that Jani Lane actually gave him back at a show. That is kick-ass. I wish I had one.
Thank you, brother. Yeah, it was a special moment.
It's awesome. Right below him, we got Ryan RVK from the band Metalcast. Ryan, welcome back to the show.
Thank you very much, man. I was the gullible one that fell for the, hey, we're all going to wear ugly sweaters. No, I'm just joking. I decided to wear this for you. But no, thanks for having me, and this is going to be quite interesting.
I think I'm going to call you Uncle Eddie from here on out.
Nice.
Oh, I love it. Hey, Clark, why don't you try it on? No, I don't want to get it dirty.
Shit is full.
And right beside Ryan, we got Jeremy from the, I was trying to think of the band you were in. We got Jeremy from the band Abrasion. Jeremy, welcome back to the show.
Great to have the band back together this week, guys. Happy to see us back at full strength, reviewing what is arguably, to some, the worst Warrant album, to some, the best. So it's going to go all over the gamut tonight. Can't wait to see where you guys fall.
And Jeremy, I am digging that Psycho Circus jersey from Kiss. That thing is badass.
Thank you.
And right above him, we got Patrick, the Colonel Patrick from the Hair Metal Guru YouTube channel. Patrick, welcome back to the show.
Oh, it's awesome to be here with everybody tonight and talking about my favorite Warrant record.
Wow, shit, we're already starting off strong with fucking opinions.
I didn't know we were talking about Dog Eat Dog.
You didn't get the memo.
That's right. That's right. We fucking pulled a fast one on you. All right. So okay. And like I mentioned in the intro, it comes out in 96. I mean, they got 2 music videos for Ultraphobic, 0 for Belly to Belly. They called themselves Warrant 96. There was all these changes, and I've said it before, it was such a confusing time. No, everybody was trying to figure out, well, what the fuck are we supposed to do? Do we try to change directions? Do we change our band names? Everybody was ditching their original logos, Skid Row and Def Leppard. Anyway, it's the last full-length original album from Warrant, so I think all of us are pretty excited to talk about it. So we're going to start like we did before with all the other albums. Where were you at with Warrant? And some of us, you obviously probably know our opinions, but let's just go through it briefly. Where were you at with Warrant before Belly to Belly? And let's start with fucking Jones.
So, yeah, man, Warrant when it first come out, and Down Boys and Big Talk and things like that, I was a fan. I thought they was a great band. But when they released that home video of Dirty, Rotten, Filthy, Stinking Rich Live, that changed my world. They became my number one band, and they stayed my number one band until practically the day Jani died. And so, yeah, Warrant was my everything after I got that home video. So, yeah.
Okay, awesome. RVK, where were you at with Warrant?
I love that video, man. Yeah, the first three are staples in any rocker's catalog and should be talked about next to the biggest of the big. Jani's the best songwriter to come out of that whole scene, top 10 vocalist. And just as an update for you fellas about my Warrant catalog appreciation, it has finally happened. I like Ultraphobic.
Ooh.
Okay? I went balls deep in the last 2 weeks with Belly to Belly and Ultraphobic, and it finally speaks to me. So
Boy.
thank you very much. Thank you very much for letting me in on a little secret called Ultraphobic.
Fantastic.
It's been a long time coming. I still don't know why Motley 94 and Slang don't speak to me, but honestly, maybe it was because Ultraphobic was just like slightly less offensive in its departure to me, because there's still some nod to the original stuff.
Yeah.
The song Ultraphobic, though, is a blatant ripoff of a certain band, which I really never give a name to, whose blonde lead singer died in, I think, 1994. But it's a blatant ripoff to those Teen Spirit motherfuckers out there.
Got you.
All right. Okay.
Gotcha.
But I can confirm, and I don't want to jump in, but Ryan sent me a text this weekend. He was like, "This high song is amazing."
Oh, God.
I was like, yeah, man. Yeah.
It was, man. Very good.
And I know, and we'll get to you other guys. I know before this, Ryan wasn't a big Ultraphobic fan. He just kind of, Jones, I'm assuming you were all in on Ultraphobic from the get-go, right? I know we're not talking about that, but that might kind of help, with where you were going into Belly to Belly. Were you in on Ultraphobic back then?
It took me a month or two to grow on me, but yes, once Belly to Belly was coming out, I loved Ultraphobic.
Okay, Jeremy, where were you with Warrant? And maybe touch on that. Did they lose you with Ultraphobic? Where were you at with Warrant before Belly to Belly?
Absolutely. Well, Warrant's first album, obviously DRFSR, was my second rock shirt I ever had. I love the album, but I got to be honest, I would say now that it was probably the weakest lyrically and musically. Not putting anything against it. I loved it when it came out. But then you had Cherry Pie, blew my mind even more. Then you had Dog Eat Dog, took it to another echelon. There was like a completely different level. And then when frickin' Ultraphobic came out, I didn't even know about it because there was so little promotion in Metal Edge. I think I knew it was coming, but I found it brand new at Music Syndicate, picked it up right then and there. My brother and I went home, jammed it out. I liked it. First listen, I did. I thought, damn, they got heavy, like really dark and heavy. And I was on board with Ultraphobic right out of the gate. Belly to Belly, I don't have to get into that one yet. So, and then I feel like Warrant and Jani Lane just kept getting better and better at writing more emotional, deeper, hard-hitting lyrics every single album from start to finish. I really, truly do.
Okay. Patrick, where are you at with Warrant before Belly to Belly?
Massive Warrant fan. I loved those first three records. The where I really kind of, cut my teeth with Warrant was Dog Eat Dog more than the first two records, and then I kind of went back to the first two records, and that's really, it didn't take long to realize what you had with Warrant that you didn't have with everybody else, which was a songwriter that really connected with his audience more so than having the best hair or the best look or the most promotion on MTV. His songs did that, and so for me, I was a massive fan. I got Ultraphobic the day it came out. My junior year of high school, we listened to that thing so much. I loved Ultraphobic from the first listen. I of course it was a departure sound wise, but you added 2 new members or 3 new members because you also had David White playing keyboards. So I was down with the forward sounding sound that they had. I thought for sure, in my naivety that they're going to be back on MTV
Yeah.
with Ultraphobic, and we would my friend Matt and I would pay the DJ at the high school during basketball games and things. We would hand him Ultraphobic and go like, "Here, play this song during like halftime or something." And we'd pay him like $5 and he'd do it. And so,
Nice.
just to try and see like what are people going to think, and
Yeah.
you'd see some people bobbing along and they had no idea. So it was a cool thing. And most of I think for me, and I won't go down the rabbit hole on this, and we've talked about it a million times, is that the thing at this period of time, in '95 when Ultraphobic hits and whatnot, you would play this album for people that had no idea what it was, or not Belly to Belly, but you'd pay Ultraphobic and they'd love it. And then they'd find out who it was and they'd act like it was stupid.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so going into this record, it was kind of like you'd finally realized, wow, it's the name is repulsive to everybody, more so than ever. But the music is great to them. It's just so mind-boggling.
I spent so much of it felt like the early 90s just defending Warrant at parties because I was always talking about it and people would give it shit, just like Patrick said, oh, we've moved on from that, blah, 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 blah. DRFSR, I loved DRFSR, but I wasn't, I wouldn't have said, hey, I like Warrant better than Skid Row or Poison. There were other bands I liked more than Warrant. I thought Heaven was like the most amazing ballad, but the other stuff I was like, oh, it's really fucking good. Then on Cherry Pie, I was like, whoa, that's when Warrant kind of became my band. And that blew away everything. And then Dog Eat Dog was like, are you fucking shitting me? Like, how can you make that big a jump from album to album to album? And here you have this fucking masterpiece, and the fucking world just shit on it. It goes gold instead of double platinum. So I was so jacked for Ultraphobic. I've said, it took some listens. I had to force myself into that. But nowadays, shit, I probably listen to Ultraphobic on an equal level of Dog Eat Dog. I'm not ready to, I still would tell everybody that Dog Eat Dog's my favorite. But as far as what I listen to now, I definitely listen to Ultraphobic more than I listen to Cherry Pie or DRFSR for whatever that is worth. So I probably talked about Warrant and Jani Lane more than any other band on the channel. Most people know that. So I was dying to hear Belly to Belly when it was getting ready to come out. So
One thing I want to add to that too, that I'd be curious to hear what everybody has to say real quick about is when you heard Ultraphobic, the guitar sound on that record with Rick Steyer is completely different than anything that they had ever done before. And I'm just curious if people liked it or if they were like, oh my God, what happened? There's no guitar solos. There's no anything. What was everybody's thought with that?
I didn't like it. I did not like it when it first come out. It, like Anthony said, it took me just because, like you said, there's my favorite band. I was like, I'm not giving up on this.
Yeah.
And I kept over and over and over and over. And it just, all of a sudden, it's just like, yeah, this is pretty badass, But yeah, I didn't like it.
It's funny because you say it took you like a month or two to get into it. It took me 10 years or 20 to get into it. But, and also, as for the guitar thing, it's like, well, there's no Mike Slammer, so it's gonna be. No, I'm just joking.
Yeah.
The Warrant guys rip. But I did notice that once I kind of delved into the Ultraphobic thing, which I believe was totally necessary. And another question, like Anthony was saying, and doesn't need to be tackled right now, but do you guys feel that Dog Eat Dog is the epitome of like a band that progressed and changed, but appealed to all fans. I feel like I can't think of a better example of like the progression that still appealed.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I wish it would have appealed to everybody, Ryan. I felt like that album was more accessible to everyone, because the classical, even overtones that kind of exist in a couple of the songs, everything that they put into that thing was just mind-boggling good. But the ticket sales were not. The record sales were not. So for whatever reason, people were just so turned off to hair metal. I don't know what it would have taken, but I agree with you. I felt like it was so accessible. And as far as the guitar tone, back to Patrick's question, I loved it because I thought it fit that sound. It fit that album. And all the sound effects that they put in there. I had a really rocking stereo in my car, and that sounded so good with all those effects, and his guitar tone really worked to fill up that sound space of the cabin of my vehicle. So I love just cranking the shit out of that album and just rocking out.
I think I was like Jones said, like I was disappointed right away with the guitar sound. You know, I was expecting the next progression of Dog Eat Dog, and maybe Ultraphobic is the next progression of Dog Eat Dog, but the change in the guitar sounds is very drastic. And I think when we start getting into Belly to Belly, the drum sounds definitely impacted that album. So
Yep.
so now let's get into that. And by the way, like when we're going around, and I like what Patrick did there. Hey, I got a question. I'd like, if you have something that you'd be interested in hearing people's opinions, feel free to throw that out there. So let us know when you got, because maybe you didn't get it right away. Maybe somebody who got it later on. Let us know what you thought of it then, and then we'll talk about how it has aged after listening to it for probably the last couple weeks. Jones, do you remember getting Belly to Belly, and what do you think of it when you got it?
I do. I remember plainly. I called Media Play on a Monday night and asked them if they would have the new Warrant Belly to Belly on Tuesday, because I think back in the day, everything come out on Tuesday, right?
Tuesdays, yeah.
Yep.
And the guy said, we have one copy. And this was at like 9:00 and they closed at 10. And I was exactly an hour away. And I said, if I come tonight, will you sell it to me? And he goes, yep. So I got in my car and I hauled as fast as I could go. And I was sitting at Media Play at like 5 till 10. Went in and got it out to the car. I put it in and I pushed it. And I was like, what is this shit? Are you serious? I just, I was devastated. Honestly, devastated. And so I know we'll get into a little bit more of that later, but when I first heard it, I was completely devastated, and I hated it. Absolutely hated it.
Did like with Ultraphobic, did you cram it down your throat and get into it like back then?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. It might have even took me a little longer than a month or two for this one. But there was several songs I would skip. I'm not listening to that, skip. Interludes, I'm not listening to that, skip, So, but yeah, I mean, I did get into it. I didn't wait 10 years by no means, but it took me 4 or 5 months for it to grow on me. Yeah.
Okay.
Jonesy, were you hoping or expecting more of a departure from Ultraphobic, or were you hoping for yesteryear sounds? What were you ultimately hoping to hear, I guess?
Well, I guess I was probably hoping that I was going to hear more along the lines of Dog Eat Dog.
Sure. Yeah.
Ultraphobic, the only problem I have with Ultraphobic, and I'm just like you guys, I listen to that probably more now than I do any other records. But to me, Ultraphobic wasn't produced very well. To me, it's very bassy. It's so much bass in that record. And I even have to turn my bass like all the way down, and my subs are going, woo, woo, woo. Which I thought the production on Belly to Belly was fantastic. It sounded just like a garage band. It sounded like they went to a garage and recorded, the drums. It was Bobby, right? Bobby You know, Bobby's drums was amazing on this, crisp, this clean. But yeah, I don't know what I was expecting, but I wasn't expecting what I got when I first heard.
Sure. Yeah, gotcha.
I think a lot of us, even the ones who loved Ultraphobic, there was a part of you that was still kind of like, hey, maybe they'll go back to the party rock thing, you know, like all the change to kind of alternative didn't work, and maybe we'll get Cherry Pie Part 2. Obviously, that's not what happened, but I think I bet there were some of us who were kind of maybe thinking that was what they were going to do. I think some people were hoping that's what they were going to do. Obviously, they went even further left field. So, Ryan, do you remember getting and feel free to like go in like when you got it, like were there particular songs that grabbed you? Tell us what you thought when you got Belly to Belly, Ryan.
Yeah. Well, my first Warrant purchase was the 1996 Best Of, which then opened the floodgates for me, which also confused the hell out of me because Thin Disguise is on there and it wasn't on a studio record. So I was like, it's not like the internet days where you could be like, oh, where the hell is that? Oh, it's a B-side, you know, like I was just, what is this? But, you know, back then my order was for getting into new artists for me at the time in my mid-teens was, you know, get the Best Of, buy the bestseller, and then the most current, which actually was the 86 to 97. So I don't actually own a physical copy of Ultraphobic or Belly to Belly. And that's how like intentionally ignore it was for me because, you know, like when I was growing up, my brother's 7 years older than me. And he's like, I know you love AC/DC, but don't buy Flick of the Switch, Fly on the Wall, or Blow Up Your Video. He was like, those are the worst. And I was like, okay, older brother, like, you know everything. I had a friend, same way, who was more into Warrant than I was. And he's like, dude, their mid-90s shit sucks. Don't buy it. So like, I just went with it. I just didn't buy it. So I still don't have the physical copies, which is crazy because even like, I even own like Motley 94 and Slang and all that stuff, but I don't own this. So I'm guilty of only streaming it and kind of ignoring it until basically this little time frame.
Okay, let's kick his ass off the channel.
I have listened to Belly to Belly and it obviously didn't speak to me. Now, has it this week? We shall see.
We shall find out.
So when you first were listening to it, whenever that may have been, whether on streaming, you were kind of like, okay, fuck this.
You know what? It probably wasn't streaming. It was probably someone's physical copy. And I said, fuck this. Absolutely said, fuck this. This is not the first three.
Sure. Okay. All right, Jeremy, do you remember getting it? What did you think when you got it?
Yeah, I sure do. I was with my brother. He had already purchased it. He already had it. But it was hard to find because, you know, not a lot of stores were carrying it, as you kind of alluded to there, Jones. So I wasn't real impatient about getting it. I could wait for it. It was one of those deals. It was like, you know, I like Ultraphobic, blah, blah, blah. I've listened to Brand's Belly to Belly, but I'm not in that big a hurry. I was a bit indifferent about it. I guess ambivalent might be the word. I liked it, but I don't know if I liked it enough to buy it brand new and spend the $15 or $16. Well, lo and behold, I made my, you know, weekly Music Syndicate trek, and sure enough, I found it, and you could see the sticker on it, $3.99. I paid $3.99 in 1996, guys. The year it came out. It was already in the bargain bin, and I'm like, holy crap, this thing must be tanking hard. But obviously, $3.99, I purchased it, bought it, and it's different. I don't know if you guys agree, but when you actually own your own copy versus listening to somebody else's, I don't know if I have a different sense of ownership in it, or if it's just because it's my money I invested. Granted, this is only $4, but shit, I only made probably $7 at the time, you know. But then you really give it a better shot. At least I did. So I really started listening to it and getting into the songs. I won't tell you how I felt about them yet because that's not where we are we? Or am I talking?
Well, I mean, if you can go into what you thought about the songs back then,
yeah, okay.
You know, maybe you're like, hey, I loved these 4,
yeah,
and hated these 6, or I don't know, you know.
Yeah, no, I thought the first song started off really strong, in the end, and I was like, all right, but then it got slow right away. And I've said it before, guys, I was kind of a heavier guy. I was like, what are you doing, guys? You get me up here and then you bring me down, son of a gun. Well, then the next song starts off and it's got that heavy riff. It feels good. And I'm like, yes. Well, then that gets kind of up there in the upper range and slower and everything. So it was kind of all over the place. It wasn't until Angry Young Man that I really was like, all right, I'm going to crank this up and I'm going to rock out. So that song, loved, absolutely killed it. The ballad, let's see, what am I looking at? Indian Giver, I liked right out of the gate. Falling Down, I liked pretty well. But Vertigo, that was another rocker that I just absolutely loved. I wanted rock and roll from Warrant. I did. I wanted heavy stuff. I wanted either Dog Eat Dog or, at the very least, Ultraphobic. And I think this album was a departure from anything they had done. So, like I said, there was about 4 or 5 songs that I really liked. The rest of it I just thought was okay. Until I saw the tour live. And I'll talk about that in a bit.
Okay. All right. Patrick, do you remember getting it? What do you think?
After Ultraphobic had come out, they went on tour for a really long time. And I remember it was that summer of '96 that my parents moved across the country from Oregon to Vermont. And so I had a month before I turned 18 and I was on a plane back to live with my friend. And because I wasn't going to live out in the middle of the fucking nowhere in Vermont. And not at 18 with fucking blue hair and,
Yeah.
coming from a major metropolitan city. So I remember having a whole month before I turned 18 and all I had was Metal Edge. And the new Metal Edge came that summer, and there had been no talk that Warrant had been writing a record or anything. There was no internet to sit there and go, what's Warrant up to every day? So all of a sudden, Metal Edge had an article that Warrant was in the studio. It was the picture behind me of them in the studio, and it said they were releasing their record in October, at the end of October. And I thought, holy shit, like, this is amazing news. This is great. And that was the only thing I had heard, other than that, they had said the songs are great and they're so heavy and all this stuff. But that's what everybody said. So I remember going on release day that morning to Tower Records. When they opened, we were there. Matt and I went, and I got the one copy they had. And then we had to go to another music store to go buy another copy from that. So
Yeah.
in the car on the way over there, I ripped the plastic off. I always kept the white part on the top that had the name on it and everything. I remember that, and we put it in, and In the End started, and Matt was out. He was like, fuck this. And, I'll admit, at first I was like, oh, we're doing Soundgarden now, whereas we had done Alice in Chains on Ultraphobic. And I didn't hate it, but I thought, this is not the direction I'm hoping for. And then Feels Good started, and he starts, I was like, oh, now we're doing Stone Temple Pilots, like through the megaphone, going, take everything that I own. And I was like, oh, shit, like, what? Another cliche. But then that chorus hit, and I was like, there's Warrant. They're there. He's right there. Letter to a Friend hit, and I thought, oh, fuck me, this is incredible. Like, I remember thinking with Letter to a Friend, what the hell is the rhythm to this song? Because it's, the boom, 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 boom. And I was like, what the hell kind of ballad structure is this? But it works. And that chorus is, I mean, the first time I heard that chorus, I knew I was going to love that song forever. But as the rest of the album went on, I struggled with it, just like everybody else did. Not so much because I was expecting Dog Eat Dog or Cherry Pie 2.0. It was just I always struggled with, during that time period, how did Rick Steyer play amazing guitar on Kingdom Come Records, but on this, he's just got the crunchy beat? And I credit your interview with him, Anthony, because it really explained it, as he was going, look, we had to do something different. And I had no interest in playing that way. I wanted to play that way. So that makes sense to me. I think it was Jones alluded to the fact that right off the bat, I went, Bobby Borg's a goddamn beast. Like, everything about his drum playing on this record at the time sounded so fresh and new. but I was still struggling with it, going like, this is not a cohesive album. It's all over the place. Like, and I loved everything on that record. Took a lot of time to love and really get into for me. And right off the bat, I only liked probably 3 songs on the first, 2 or 3 listens. I was really struggling to find things I liked. But then as time went on, probably over the next 3 or 4 months, everybody around me in my atmosphere had given up on that record right off the bat. They were just out. But I kept it. And it's the exact reason Jeremy said. When you're 17, 18, making $7 an hour, and you put $15 into a CD, well, you're a lot more invested in it than you are in this streaming world where you can play it once, and if it doesn't hit you right off the bat, things just don't hit off the bat anymore the way they used to either.
Yeah.
So you were way more invested in it, and I've said before on this channel that for me, when I loved a band like I loved Warrant in my teens, if I got the new album, that's all I listened to for a very long time. Was that record, whether I liked it or not. I was going to find something about it that I loved. And just having those 3 songs that I liked right off the bat was enough for me to keep going because I wanted to get to know that. And living where we did, Warrant didn't come out there and play. Warrant didn't play the Pacific Northwest at all. So, I played that record over and over and over, hoping that maybe this time they would play it, and knowing from reading things in Metal Edge what they would play was the majority of that record or Ultraphobic. So I wanted to know it if I got that chance. So
Yeah. Well said. Jeff.
I saw, well, I couldn't tell you how many times I saw them over the few years from the release of Belly to Belly, and I saw them open for Alice Cooper in Fargo, and they played like 7 or 8 songs, and 5 of them were fucking new. They played like Cherry Pie and Heaven, and maybe Uncle
Probably Down
Tom's
Boy.
Cabin or something. And then it was all the new rec. So they were like, we're gonna live and die with this thing. So anyway, I know I'm up, but I just wanted to mention, yeah, like they weren't going out and going, okay, we're playing one new song from the record. They're like, we're playing the new shit, whether you like it or not.
They also made Jani made a lot of comments right after the record came out about, fuck it, it's not cool to be a glam band, but we're a glam band, and I'm gonna be a glam singer. And he broke out that coat that he had during Cherry Pie, the black one with the silver holes in it.
Yeah.
He painted like the upside down cross under his eye, and he'd wear all the eye makeup and the hats. And I mean, he tried. He was the only one, but he's trying to bring
He did it for a while. He's like, fuck it. We're going back glam, but yeah, it didn't stick around for too long.
Yeah.
I got it. So here's what it comes out in October of 96. First, here's where I was at in my life. My daughter was born in June of that year. I had been going to school in Valley City State University and doing really well. I was really known and like thinking, all right, my daughter is born in June. I drop out of Valley City State. I transfer to NDSU. In October, I'm already to the point where I know I'm about ready to drop out. I've been missing classes. I've been bartending at night and drinking more and more. And so I'm skipping school, like everything's falling apart. Anyway, that kind of tells you where I was at personally. But I bartended at this place called Grandma's Saloon and Grill. There was a little record store called Disc and Tape that was not right next door, but like a block away. So I finished my shift and I go by that. I'm fucking dying to hear this thing and pop it in. And I think probably everybody had the same, what the fuck is this? Even Ultraphobic, the guitars were more straight ahead. They were a little grungy sounding. This, you were getting all this down, this jangly shit. All the drums were all tribal and all weird. But, and you got, one of my biggest disappointments about music now is that like you guys said back in the day when you paid, you were like, fucking A, I'm treating this thing like a job. You
Yeah.
know, it is my job to get my 13 or 14 bucks worth. So I'm not gonna, I would never go anywhere and throw 14 bucks down the drain. And it felt like you did that if you listened to something once and never gave it a shot. So I pounded that thing into my brain. And here's what I remember. I loved In the End, and the lyrics were so fucking dark. But there's some Beatle-esque parts in the chorus. It's so well written. It was very alternative. I loved Feels Good. That driving guitar, I remember they played that live all the time. That driving guitar, and again, like so fucking dark. Like it feels kind of good feeling this bad.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Like, I don't know, but again, I was starting to relate to that. You know what? Like, man, my happy-go-lucky days are fucking gone. Like, real life is kicking me in the ass at the end of 1996, but I loved Feels Good. Letter to a Friend, the beginning, I was like, Jesus, here we go with the tribal drums and shit and that awkward guitar. But once that chorus went in, that became like, holy shit, this could stand up next to any other Warrant ballad because it's one of the greatest choruses of all time. And I just never forgot this line. Nothing's perfect except God and a California sunset.
That's right.
I have that written down to talk about, you sucker. That line
Sorry.
right there. Very good.
Sorry, man.
No, it's all good.
And like I related to these lyrics so much, make your brand new start, keep me in your heart, and you'll be fine. That's reality. Amazing. I loved AYM. That was the most like, okay, here's a regular hard rock riff that you can get into. The lyrics were kind of funny, like he was making fun of the grunge bands. We are Generation X. We are complex. Angst is the perfect wave. Ride it and be well paid. It all sucks, but by the way, I wrote a new song today. Anyway, loved that, and I loved Indian Giver. But now this is the first time, and I'm still on my feelings back then, where I was like, okay, now we got a bunch of filler. Falling Down, I was like, no matter how hard I tried, I could not get into Falling Down. The two interludes were pointless. Solid was okay, but I never got to the point where I was like, wow, I need to hear Solid. I didn't think All For You, even like, man, Jani Lane was like the greatest ballad writer. I was like, okay. All For You's all right. Vertigo, I liked, but I didn't highlight it as a song I loved because outside of those first 5 songs, I was not revisiting Vertigo. Room with the View is fucking mind-blowing. It's the darkest fucking lyrics, and when that chorus kicked in, I fell in love with it. So, and then I didn't like Nobody Else. So I just want to make the point that I tried as hard as you possibly could, and I came up with, okay, there's 6 songs that I really like, and I felt like the rest is filler. And I haven't spent much time with those songs since then. Like you'll still listen to this over the years, but I generally kind of just went with those ones that I knew. And that brings us to, how has the album aged? Now that we have re-listened to it, and we were going to do this video last week, so I don't know about you guys, but I've been listening to the shit out of this for about 2 weeks. So let's go into how it has aged. Jones, after living with it for a while, where are you at with it now?
I listened to this, Ultraphobic and Dog Eat Dog, more than the first 2 popular records. And There's still a couple songs on this that I skip, but it is so good. If you're into lyrical content, this thing is a masterpiece. You know, guys, everybody knows. I mean, you brought up a couple that, but I would like to talk about a couple of lyrics that I thought, you know, you said nothing's perfect except God and the California sunset. That's actually my next tattoo right through there. And, you know, Anthony and me is both, I have 32 pennies in a ragu jar. I have my wishing well. You mentioned room with a view. There's my room with a view of the brick wall I've run into. Stronger now. I have Song and Dance Man, Jani. Hey, enough said. I mean, he's my hero. But you know, there's so much lyrical content in this that it is just, you know, milk spreads out across the floor. We both agree it's not worth crying for. Holy shit. I mean, that's just genius. And, you know, the room with a view lyrics, you know, just this, I honestly think Jani wrote this about himself, you know. First thing he does when he climbs out of bed, he searches out a place to drink his daily bread. He wraps himself up tight in alcohol. It keeps him warm at night like Grandma's shawl. Fuck, that's just mind-blowing to me. It is so mind-blowing to me. And, you know, the slow song that All For You and the interludes, I skip every time. I still don't listen to them. But the rest of the record is amazing. And, yeah, I mean, it's lyrically, it's amazing. The guitar tones is still, you know, there's a few things that, you know, I would have liked to maybe it have been a little bit heavier or whatever. But if you've not given it a chance, give it another chance. That's all I'm going to ask. Is just it's there. You just got to find it if you're a Warrant fan.
Okay. I'm going to change up the order a little bit just so we don't do everything the same. I probably should have changed it before Jones, but we'll just go to Jeremy right now. Jeremy, what, you know, now that you've listened to it, what do you think after living with it for a while?
Like I alluded to just briefly there on my last segue there, after I saw this tour live in 96 or 97 at a bar, and I may or may not have been 21 yet, but after seeing these songs live, AYM, Vertigo, all of that changed everything for this album. This album became my go-to frickin' Warrant album because watching them perform that shit live, the passion Jani had, I'd say the band was pretty passionate too, but Jani's passion for these songs and the effort and the blood, sweat, and tears he left out on that stage, man, that hits me. And it hit me then. And I'm like, yeah, this album's phenomenal. Made me look at it differently, made me listen to it differently. And I already, like I said, kind of liked it. I already liked 6, 7 songs. Well, after that, I liked every song except for All For You. You know, it's got that Stevie Nicks sounding gal. She was like the producer's girlfriend or something. I skipped that one too. I really do. I feel like I should try to like that. I just can't really. Coffee House, that's such a weird title of a song because it doesn't mention coffee house at all. That was kind of the beginning of like the Disturbed and all those bands who have songs that are not even remotely related to the song, right? Or titles rather. So you had no idea, like, hey, let's listen to Coffee House. What the hell is Coffee House, right?
Jeremy, like I thought Coffee House was the most Seattle sounding song name I'd ever heard. It just made me want to hate it that he did anyway.
Dude, I agree. And I almost wondered if it was deliberate at the time. I'm like, is this a deliberate kind of either knock to Seattle or an attempt to win them over? I didn't know, but it didn't matter. But like Vertigo, Killer, that song, Nobody Else. I like it, that last song. I like how his voice kind of gets angry and he's really going for it. I think that's badass. Indian Giver. I thought it could have been called Belly to Belly too, the way that the song was set up and how many times they say belly to belly. But yeah. I get it. I get the whole thing is about being an Indian giver, and like you said, lyrically unbelievable. Feels good. That heavy riff. Letter to a Friend. That chorus, you said it already. It It's transcendent. There's no other doubt. It's got that tremolo intro, kind of starts off weird and kind of with that weird effect, and then it just builds and builds and builds and gets stronger. Love it. But this was definitely for me, Ultraphobic Part 2, but just in a different direction. And I loved Ultraphobic already, but like I said, after seeing him live, it became my favorite Warrant album. I think it still is right with Dog Eat Dog. It's a little bit higher than Ultraphobic. Now, my wife doesn't share that. She can't get into this album. And I said, you just got to listen to it more. You got to understand it more. And here's her take on all this, guys. Here's what she thinks of all of us. If you really have to listen to something that hard and really dedicate that much time, is it really worth it? And I say, absolutely. Absolutely. That's the difference between, I hope she doesn't watch this. That's the difference between just a regular music listener and an avid, passionate lover of the music,
Yeah.
I think. And Jonesy, one thing to your lyrics, you are so spot on. Jani Lane, in my opinion, was the Tom Sawyer of hair metal. He was one of the best songwriters of any genre. I'm not talking rock and roll. I'm talking any genre, and I will die on that hill today. I will go up against anyone because of those lyrics. You just said the ones Anthony just said. You don't write any better than Jani does. However, if you're not into lyrical content, if that's not your bag and you could care less what they're saying, that might not be enough for some people to dig this album, because they're just like, well, the music sucks. I don't care what he's saying. But if you're into lyrics and you're into a deep message, listen to it, because it's almost like going to the Church of Rock. It really is. So where I'm at now is top drawer, dude. This is top tier music. I don't care if it says Warrant on it or if it was named Indian Giver, the band. It's phenomenal, and I love it.
All right, Ryan, how's it age for you?
Not like you guys. And you know what? Let me just quickly go track by track. So in the end, honestly, I liked it. I thought I may have stumbled upon my long lost Warrant album that I ignored. Very different, but it's still Jani guitar, hooky, feels good. Brutal intro to the world of true Warrant 90s grunge, but then they pull it together with the chorus. I tell you what, the pronunciation bugged the fuck out of me. It's so Alanis Morissette. I wanted to just, dude, that bugged me so much. Just the way
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Letter to a Friend. Jani's still Jani. The music behind him does zero favors for old Warrant fans. AYM, way too much a departure for me. Indian Giver. To me, I heard this after Motley Crue's New Tattoo, but it's fake by Motley Crue vibes big time, which Motley apparently ripped Warrant off. Whatever. Falling Down, no way. Solid glimpses of Almost Killer, All For You, very cool. Jani Moody, but the female duet, ugh. Yeah. Coffee House. Okay, I was expecting way worse because I've heard you guys talk about that and randomly discuss it. I thought it was going to be worse. It was okay. Vertigo had potential, way too much of a departure. Room with a View. Dude, terrible wine bar BS to me. Oh, God, I hate it. This is the one that really makes me dislike anything past Dog Eat Dog. Hate it. Nobody else, no way. So, like, after really digging into this, I must admit, I'll likely never go back to this album. I'm glad I gave it a fair shake, but it was just too much of a departure for me. I love Ultraphobic now. I don't love it. I want to love Ultraphobic, and I look forward to almost loving it. But I see what you guys are saying, okay? I hear the songwriter stuff, but the songwriter stuff was there with the killer music behind it. Yeah. So you guys are like, it's just like, I guess I'm like Jeremy's wife all of a sudden, like, I have to like really try. Oh, you shouldn't have to try. Like, but I'm just like her. But like, bottom line, there's a reason I got into Warrant, for the amazing material. And the first three is just where Jani, the songwriting, the killer riffage, it just all came together. And for me, this is just not it at all. I don't want to have to try so hard to get into something. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
it's so easy for me to get into the first three, and Warrant will always be the kings of the big three. You know, the Danger Dangers, the Houses of Lords, the White Lions, and the Warrants and the Wingers. Like, I feel bad about it, to be honest, because I want to like really get into it, but I don't want to have to try that hard. Not for being lazy, because I'm not being lazy about it. I love these guys. But dude, there's a reason those first three spoke to me so much. And
Yeah.
this was so much of a departure. I'll never go back. Ultraphobic, I'm looking forward to getting into, but that's where I stand.
I think, me and Jones and Patrick and maybe to an extent, I mean, we were such massive Warrant fans. I think that a lot of people who were just casual Warrant fans, they really like Cherry Pie and stuff. I think a lot of people probably agree with Ryan. Unfortunately, but I think that's probably more the norm than,
Yeah.
Than
guys
what
like
we feel.
us,
I agree.
But in
So-
terms of like casual, I can rap off every lyric, every drum beat.
No,
every
and you're not a casual fan. I
No,
just,
no. Yeah.
know.
But I totally see what you're saying. Like, people that know Cherry Pie and Down Boys and
Yeah.
that kind of shit. Like, yeah, totally
Right.
casual. But like, studying those first three so hard and like just loving what they gave me. And then this, it was just like, okay, we can only go so far, fellas. You know what I mean? And I mean, look at Def Leppard. They're probably my number two of all time. And same thing with Slang. You can only go so far, fellas. I'm not going to stick with you through it all.
Yeah. That's where I was with Slang too. No, I get it. And I think the comments are going to echo what you said. I really do. I think I will be in the minority. In fact, people probably say, Jesus, Jeremy, is there anything you don't love?
Not
There
even,
is.
dude. Like,
And
no,
I promise you will have some of those coming up. But this one, I liked it right away. And I love it now after seeing it live and growing with it over the years. Yeah. So
Well-
everyone's different.
two things. Like, so far, all these videos, the comments have been like pro all of the albums that we've talked about, and I'm the outlier. You know what I mean? Like, and that's fine. And so they'll probably love this one too. And the other thing is, when people kind of grow up with the album,
Yeah.
you're maybe, you guys are, I'm 44, you guys are, what, 47, Patrick, something like that, because you guys bought it when it came out and you were like, so you grew up with it. I had to kind of revisit it by 5 years or so. So that's different. It's the same thing with like, oh, I'm not a huge Beatles fan. Oh my God, they're the best. Well, yeah, you graduated high school in 1968 or 64, Dad. Of course you love the Beatles, so it's like, of course. So I totally get that as well.
Brian, you made a great point. I mean, I have some friends that love the hair metal, but they're casual fans, but they love the hair metal. They don't even know about Dog Eat Dog. They love Warrant, but
Yeah.
Cherry Pie and Dirty Rotten, they don't even know nothing about Dog Eat Dog. So you made a very good point. And I'm 36, by the way, just FYI.
You look great.
You look real great, bud. Yeah. What's your secret?
That reminds me of this chick I worked with. She's like, I'm the biggest Def Leppard fan. She's like, I have all their albums. And I go, no shit. Because I'm like, I don't have High and Dry yet. Could I borrow your High and Dry? I thought she was all serious. She's like, High and Dry? Well, I mean, like, I have Hysteria and Pyromania. And I'm like she didn't know. It was like, how people think, oh, I'm such a fan. And then you find out you don't know shit. Anyway, Patrick's been sitting there patiently waiting his turn. Patrick, how was the age for you?
So this is my favorite Warrant record. Okay. And I've made no bones about that for the better part of my lifetime on this channel. So couple things I want to say about the aging of this record is that, again, I didn't hear this the first time and go, holy shit. Not even probably in a year did I think it was my favorite Warrant record. But as I've stated on, Jones and I did a whole episode about this album over the summer. And the thing with this album is I said earlier, when I would get a new record by a band that I adored, I would listen to it nonstop until I got the next album of theirs. And nobody knew this was going to be the last one with Jani, a full album. I mean, we got a covers record and a solo album and all that shit, but nobody knew this was going to be the last Warrant record of all new original material. And so, after a year or two of this album being out, my friend Matt and we would go record store shopping for hours on a Saturday, sitting on the ground going through these bins that were dollar bins. And within a year's time, you would each bin you would go through would have 3 or 4 BMG or Columbia House copies of this record in it, or Ultraphobic.
Yeah.
And you'd be like, that got to be really telling to me, because I was like, well, people aren't going out to the store and buying this, but they're paying, they're getting it as a penny CD out of Columbia House, or,
Right.
they're that's how people are hearing this. And I assumed that's your casual fan, that was getting it back then. That was your casual fan. One of the things that I want to touch on too about how this album aged, look what they did on a bullshit budget. They made one heck of a good record on no budget.
Yeah.
They had no video budget. They used all of their budget on making a record. They wrote all the songs in 3 weeks' time and recorded it in 7 days. So, I mean, that's a pretty magnificent record to make in such a short amount of time, in my opinion. I know most people don't like this record, but to me, for the amount of time that they had to do that, and in the Bobby Borg interview, he talked about, we all, it was just, 7 or 5 knuckleheads getting in a room and banging out some songs. I think they did pretty darn good for that. Songs like Coffee House, a lot of people aren't fans of Coffee House, but that song, particularly as a young kid, being 18, 19, and trying to find your way in the world in 1996, 97, there were some great lines in that song alone that really spoke, I don't care too much for cliques and gangs and little sewing circles, there was some real good stuff that Jani was doing in there. And I think there was a lot of anger in this record about what had happened to them in the preceding 3 years, with how they lost their deal and lost being on TV, couldn't even get on the radio, couldn't get on anything. So this album was really such a message to people about how angry they were about that. And it was, Jani and Rick had talked about this being a concept record, if you would. So this album aged over all those years for me, hearing that, living that my music wasn't popular anymore, that people knowing that I like that music made me not cool anymore. Living that with this record, I think really endeared this record to me. And that's why it aged so well for me, is because it became part of who I was. And it was like a badge on my jacket that I could wear. And if they had made one, I would have bought one and ironed that crap right on my backpack or my jacket, because this was my record and this was my music. And if you don't like it, then I don't like you, and I was okay with that back then. But Jeremy spoke about this too. And I know Jones and Anthony and I all agree about this. These songs came to life live.
Oh my God.
If you had a problem with the production, they didn't sound like that live.
No.
I saw Warrant live for the very first time on the Glam Slam Metal Jam, and they played 2 songs off this record. And then the following year, I saw them on the Metal Edge Rock Fest, and they played 5 songs off this record.
Wow.
And I thought, holy cow, these were the best songs in the set. And as much as I loved the hits, and that we all grew up with, when they played these with way more passion than they played those hits. And just feeling the aggression of AYM live. Like,
Yes.
Holy cow. And that was when, that second time I saw him was when Jani had the mohawk.
Yeah.
And I mean, he was right next to me. He jumped in the crowd. There was only about 10 people in that crowd when they played because they had to play early, which I've told that story on Rock Resurgence Radio. But I mean, it was a damn near religious experience having Jani Lane belting out songs like he was one of us, and he was one of us. So this album, I won't go on forever, but I've made no bones that this is my favorite Warrant record. I think the writing on this record is damn near perfect. Um, I think everybody played extremely well on it. And I totally understand why people don't like it. And I would never tell them that they're wrong. They just didn't live it the way I lived it. That's all. So
Do
I
you
love this
think?
record, and I hope people give it another shot.
Do you think? And I'm sorry, Anthony, I don't want to jump right in, but do you think? Because I was listening to everything you say, but I was down here reading this little cassette lyrics. This is the first record where it says all music written by Warrant.
Yes, they.
Do you
So
think it's trying to be a gang again?
this
You
this
know,
was written um, when they got back together after they broke up in '93, and they got back together. There was a concerted effort to write together because they'd never written together, and Jerry, especially Jerry Dixon, wanted more writing in that, and he wrote. Boy, and Anthony, you might be able to answer this, but I think Jerry Dixon had like 3 co-writes on Ultraphobic.
he does. I
He
just
has a
looked at that
lot
too,
more
yeah.
co-writes on this record.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and I think he actually wrote the music to the background music to Letter to a Friend.
Cool.
Yeah, I don't remember how it broke down, but they were definitely doing more together
Yeah.
as a band for this. Okay, you guys might be surprised. I still do love this album. I don't know that it's aged as well as I thought it was going to. And here's like, so I listened to the whole thing. I still really like the first. In the end, there's nothing, though that I don't think is aged as well as I wanted to. I still love Feels Good. Letter to a Friend is still amazing. AYM is still awesome. And so is Indian Giver. The rest of them are still kind of but I feel like and then Room with a View is still awesome. I was hoping to listen to this and go, wow, those other songs really, I got them now. And it just didn't really happen. So here's what I genuinely think. I know it's not like they, the sequence of the record 1 through 14. It's not like they wrote it. Oh, we wrote song number 1 first and song number 2 second. And, I know that's not how it worked. But when I look at this album, I feel like I can actually hear Jani Lane running out of steam. The first 5 songs are great. And it's like after that, he just got tired. And he had one more, Room with the View. But the rest of the album, after the first 5, there's one more good song. And I kind of remember thinking that back then. It was like, what happened? And then when you hear about Jani Lane, you're like, oh, the guy ran out of steam. Because then I think at some point so I won't talk about it, but I think at some point we need to talk about his solo record. And I've already done a video on the side project that Blotzer played on. What the fuck is it called?
Saints and Sinners.
Saints of the Underground.
Saints of
Saints of the Underground. Sorry.
Saints of the Underground. So we need to talk about that. But with Warrant, I feel like he, and Rick Steyer said, like, he's like, I said, did you notice how deep the lyrics were? And Rick Steyer said, Jani was going through some shit at the time. And we know, like, he's starting to fuck up some shows.
Yeah.
They were talking as far back as Ultraphobic about trying to get him up and so he was struggling. So then look at some of the lyrics, and I gave you a couple before, but like in the end we want it all, in the end we take it all. In the end apart it falls, in the end there's nothing. Look at in Feels Good. This one always killed me. I'm at the end of my rope. I just remembered a joke. Have you heard the one about the one I've become?
Yeah.
Like looking at like in 1990, he thought he was going to be a rock star forever. He was like, man, I thought this was going to last forever. And now he's like coming out and saying, I'm a joke now. That's what people think of me. Somebody who just said it a little bit ago, like Warrant was kind of like, oh, ha ha, the Cherry Pie Band. I highlighted it. And then the last one, In Room with a View. And I know he's writing these as if it's about somebody else, but you feel like he's writing it about himself. He was a child with everything planned and his body was clean. Now he sits all alone in a room with a view of the brick wall he's run into. Life has a way of leaving people like him stained.
Yep.
And then even the girl one, I still feel like first thing she does when she goes out at night, she sells a smile to get what fills her up inside. She brings plenty home and slowly gets stoned in a room by herself. And she sits all alone in a room with a view of the brick wall she's run into. Life has a way of leaving people like us stained.
Did
Then I'll
you
just say that song, when that guitar kicks in, still gives me goosebumps. It's like, oh my God. But just the lyrics are so fucking dark. It's like on Ultraphobic, you could still see some signs of hope here and there.
Yeah.
On Belly to Belly, it feels like he's like, you know what? I'm fucked. That I really am. I'm really fucked. And it just, again, it's like the guy was running out of gas and he laid it all bare for us to see. So I still like those 5 songs. Nothing, and the other songs aren't bad, but I don't feel the need to listen to them anymore. So there's 5 or 6 really good songs on Belly to Belly. There's a lot of filler. I encourage people still to give it a shot. Listen to me, listen to the whole thing. See if you can find something. I feel like Letter to a Friend is pretty universal, that even people who don't really care for this record, I feel like people like Letter to a Friend quite a bit. But listening to this album again, it just makes my heart break all over again for Jani Lane, because this is a guy who's really at the end of his rope.
Yeah.
Good point. Very good point. There was one that I just thought of. I'm not a big fan of the song, but the Falling Down song. There's a line in there. I'm a piece of candy cane, wedged tightly in a dream, day by day, dissolving away. And it's just like, wow. You could tell. I mean, like you said it perfect, Anthony. I mean, he was going down that slope. It took him another 15 years, but he was heading that way,
I felt like Ultraphobic was already starting to tell that tale a little bit. And that's why I felt like this was part 2. I felt like he was really trying to bare his soul, and almost like a, God, I don't want to say suicide, but a cry for help.
Totally.
And I agree. When you say it hurts, Anthony, it does. It hurts. Yeah. It's hurtful to hear what he's saying, because like Chester Bennington from Linkin Park, when I listened to his lyrics, he was crying out for help. And I feel like Jani Lane was a little bit too. I was waiting very patiently for Belly to Belly Volume 2. I really wanted that to happen, but never happened. Wasn't meant to be. And I apologize to all the literary people if I said Mark Twain was the author.
You said Tom Sawyer.
What did I say?
You said Tom
I said
Sawyer.
Tom Sawyer and said Mark Twain.
Mark.
Everyone knows what I meant. What an idiot. I'm an ELA teacher. I felt like an idiot as soon as I said it.
Yes, Jeremy can read.
Yeah,
it's interesting trying to to during this time period, the songs on Ultraphobic and the songs on Belly to Belly, when you would see them live, I always felt like, wow, these aren't going to go so well with the songs from Dirty Rotten and Cherry Pie, but they did.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That was the brilliance of the performer, was he
Oh,
could
yeah.
meld them in and out. And that Warrant live record that came out just what, like a year later, not even a year later
Yep.
after this record.
Yep.
And ironically enough, it came out the same day as the Pantera live record.
Really?
But the Warrant live record is so fantastic that if you haven't heard that record, do yourself a favor and go check out that record, because that has, I think, 4 songs off Belly to Belly and 3 of Ultraphobic songs. But it was a perfect example of what you saw on the Belly to Belly tour.
Yeah, good stuff.
There's some
I
great
was
videos on YouTube.
I always remember, and and I've talked about this before, seeing them live in those years, and him kind of like begging people to listen to the new stuff. He'd be like, "This is the best stuff we've written. Please take 3 minutes out of your time. Please listen to this song." And I've said before, like it was like he was saying, "Look, I want you to love me for now and not for then." And me and my friends, Beowulf, Jeff Fox, that I had on the channel, like we would always be calling out songs from the new albums because you knew that's what he wanted. And everybody else is like, play Cherry Pie, play Cherry Pie. I'd always like, somebody be yelling that. I'd always turn and I'd go, look, they're going to fucking play it.
Yeah.
Like, it'll be at the end. Just quit shouting it out. And we'd be like, play AYM, play Indian Giver, because we were like, look, Jani, hey, we get it.
Yeah.
And there just wasn't enough of us to make that difference for him. But yeah, they were so good live that it didn't matter what it always sounded good, and he could just control a crowd like nobody.
Yeah.
So yeah, the live versions of this shit was even better than the studio because they rocked it up like balls.
Like I said, that changed the whole album for me, from just a decent album to an epic album, and it's never fallen short since then. Just seeing that visual.
They have a performance on YouTube from Pittsburgh in 1998.
I think Jonesy's watching it.
No,
It's that one.
Pittsburgh's an outside show.
Oh,
Yeah, that's the one you was telling me about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you can find Pittsburgh, or it's not 98, Pittsburgh from 97. If you can
97.
find that show, it's incredible.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it seems like, we have all sorts of opinions. People who didn't like it, like I said, it's aged okay. Patrick loves it. So I think we all would still recommend that you go listen to this album. You're still hearing one of the greatest songwriters of that generation. There is a lot of great points in that album. So with that, it's time to say goodbye to our roundtable members. Jones from the YouTube channel, Hanging with Drummer Boy Jones. Always a blast having you on, especially when we get to talk about Warrant and Jani Lane.
Absolutely. I love this. This was fantastic. And I get everybody's points. Everybody made great points. It was so much fun. Love hanging with you, brothers. Thank you guys for letting me hang out with you. And can't wait for the next one.
Make sure you go subscribe to the YouTube channel, Hanging with Drummer Boy Jones, right when you get done with this. And Ryan, RVK, lead singer of the band Metalcast, wearing the nice sweater. Ryan, thanks so much for coming on again.
Well, thank you, fellas. It's good to hear your opinion on this album. And I think we all know that Jani peaked on Sure Feels Good when he said, "We won't be able to walk tomorrow, so we might as well do it some more."
Right.
Very good. Very good. Jeremy from the band Abrasion, my teacher brother from North Dakota. Always great having you on, man.
Always great to be on. Ryan, I really want to give you props, dude. You stick to your guns always, and you never shy away from how you truly feel. And I want to thank you for taking the time to listen to these albums and give them fair shakes. It's good to hear differing perspectives. None of us are ever assholes about it, I don't think. And if we do, it's all in good fun. So thank you for having me on again, Anthony. I appreciate it. Love doing this every week, man. Literally the highlight of my week. I get jazzed up for this every time.
Hey, Jones and Patrick, don't worry. Jeremy's all about Ryan, but I'm sure he thinks you guys are okay too. All right.
Well, we usually agree, so I don't have to see.
Jeremy, we are no longer fused belly to belly.
That's right.
Yeah, I'm agreed with you.
That's right. Colonel Patrick from the YouTube channel, the Hair Metal Guru. Patrick, thanks for coming on.
Absolutely. I really appreciate it. I love all you guys.
All right. Hey, go in the comments. Let us know what you thought of Belly to Belly back then. And hopefully we've encouraged you to give it a listen. Let us know what you think if you've spun it a couple times after watching this video. And hey, like, subscribe, what the hell, ring the bell. In the description, you'll find the link to Hair Metal Mansion that I host every Saturday from 6 to 8 p.m. Central Time. You'll find the link to Hair Metal Guru merch, and you'll find the link to FNA Records, who are putting out cool new releases from some of our favorite 80s bands. And hey, whatever you can do to support the channel, truly, I really do appreciate you being here. Until the next video comes out, my name is Anthony. They call me the Guru. Take care of yourselves.